I found out my name wasn't even mentioned in my parents' will, everything went to my sister. So I quietly stopped covering their bills. A month later, Mom texted, "Power's about to get shut off." No hello, no explanation. I just replied with one word and blocked her. My parents never liked talking about money in front of me. Growing up, the finances were always grown-up business. Even after I started working full-time and quietly helped them with bills when things got tight, I paid their internet for 3 years, chipped in on groceries, covered home insurance, fixed their leaky roof 1 year, all without making it a big deal. It wasn't a transaction to me, it was family. At least, I thought it was. Last month, I sat in a wood-paneled office that smelled like dust and old carpet, listening to a lawyer I'd never met read out the details of my parents' will. My dad had passed a few months earlier from cancer, and my mom, still alive but not doing great physically or emotionally, had asked for everything to be settled early. My sister Danielle flew in for it. She was the golden child, the favorite, always had been. She called my mom Mama, posted long captions on Instagram about cherishing every second, and visited maybe once or twice a year. Meanwhile, I was the one who drove her to chemo, mowed the lawn when Dad couldn't stand for long anymore, and stocked their fridge when Mom got too tired to cook. I didn't post about it. I just did it because that's what decent people do. So when the lawyer cleared his throat and said, everything, including the house, savings accounts, retirement funds, and any physical property, is to be passed on to Danielle, I didn't even react right away. I just blinked. I waited for the part where he'd say, "And Opie will receive," but it never came. Nothing, no dime. Not even a mention, just silence. My name didn't come up once. Danielle gave me a small, almost pitying look, as if she'd expected it, like this had been discussed privately before. Her hand rested on the table near mine, as if she were waiting for me to say something, maybe to protest, to get angry, or to break down. But I didn't. I just sat back, nodded, and waited for the meeting to end. No one else said a word, not the lawyer, not my mom, who was on a video call from her hospital bed. She didn't even look me in the eye. Afterward, Danielle tried to say something outside, some version of "it's not what it looks like," but I didn't give her the chance. I got in my car and drove home. No yelling, no confrontation. I didn't even cry. Instead, I opened my banking app, went to the list of autopay accounts, and started removing them. Internet gone, energy bill gone, auto refill pharmacy payments gone, the trash service gone, all of it. Then I closed the app and made myself dinner. That was 4 weeks ago. I haven't heard a single word from anyone since. No calls, no texts, no explanations, and honestly, I was fine with that. They made it clear where I stood, not part of the legacy, not even worth a line in the will. I took that to heart. I didn't make a scene. I just stepped away quietly, the same way I'd shown up all those years without a fuss. But silence has a funny way of making people notice, because today that silence finally broke, and not in the way they hoped. It came on a Tuesday afternoon. I just finished a client call and was heating up leftovers when my phone buzzed on the counter. The name on the screen stopped me cold, Mom. I stared at it, half expecting an accident or one of those generic forwarded chain texts she used to send. But no, just a single message. No greeting, no apology, no explanation. Power's about to get shut off. I read it twice, then a third time. That was it. Not "Hi, how are you?" Not "Can we talk?" Just a straight-up notification like I was the utility company. A full month of silence, and this was the first thing I heard from her. For some reason, that made me laugh, not a big laugh, not a happy one, just that quiet kind of disbelief that builds in your chest when the final piece clicks into place. Because it wasn't just about the will, it wasn't just about being left out, it was the expectation that I would still show up, still pay, still be the safety net they didn't even have the decency to name. I put my phone down, walked away, finished heating my food, and ate it. 15 minutes later, I picked the phone back up, typed a single word in response, sent it, and hit block. Not out of anger, not for revenge, just clarity. It wasn't my problem anymore. And no, I didn't text Danielle. I didn't ask what happened to everything she inherited. Not my place to ask, not my responsibility to fix. I'd spent years patching holes in a roof they wouldn't even let me stand under. At some point, you have to stop offering shelter to people who lock the door behind you. So I blocked the number, set my phone on silent, and went back to work. The next day, my neighbor waved at me from across the yard. I smiled. The air felt lighter. There were no calls, no messages, No guilt-tripping voicemails, because that bridge wasn't burned. It was never built in the first place. I had no intention of drawing the blueprint. Days passed, then a week. I half expected Danielle to reach out, not because we were close, we weren't, but because she'd inherited everything, the house, the accounts, the burden. Surely she knew the bills weren't magically paying themselves anymore. But nothing came, no text, no call, not even a half-hearted email. She was quiet, the kind of quiet that told me one of two things: either she hadn't noticed, or she had and didn't know how to ask for help without looking like a hypocrite. I wasn't surprised. Danielle had always been good at disappearing when responsibility showed up. She liked photo ops and pretty speeches, but when it came to the hard parts, driving mom to appointments, unclogging toilets, fixing the porch step that nearly broke Dad's hip, she was suddenly on a flight or swamped with work. So no, I wasn't shocked she didn't reach out, but I did wonder how long she thought she could keep the lights on without lifting a finger. Then one evening, I stopped by the grocery store near the house I used to visit every week, the one my parents still lived in, now technically Danielle's. As I pulled in, I saw the familiar blue SUV parked near the back, Danielle's car. She stood by the entrance, sunglasses on, talking to someone, maybe a friend, maybe just a stranger who didn't know who they were dealing with. She laughed like nothing was wrong, like her inheritance wasn't unraveling behind her and me. I didn't stop or wave. I just walked in, bought what I needed, and left. Later that night, I checked the county's public utility records, just out of curiosity. I told myself, and there it was in plain text: final notice on the electric bill for the property. Due date passed. Shut off pending. I closed the tab and didn't check again. It wasn't bitterness. It wasn't vengeance. It was reality. They chose their golden child. They handed her the keys. Let her figure it out. Let her learn that warm Instagram captions and heartfelt speeches don't keep the water running or the lights on. That night, I sat on my porch with a cold drink, staring up at the stars. I thought about how many times I'd rushed to their side, how many last-minute drives, late-night calls, emergency bank transfers, and rescheduled plans I'd made for them, not because they asked but because I expected them to need me, because I thought that's what love looked like: quiet, consistent sacrifice. But love without recognition isn't love, it's servitude, and that's what I'd been giving them: unspoken, unpaid, unappreciated labor. And for what? To be erased from the will, to be a nameless, invisible line item, while they handed the whole estate to someone who treated them like an obligation. They made their choice, I made mine. Unlike them, I was sticking to it. Let them figure it out. Let them sit in that house full of things I once held together. Let them feel what it's like when the help doesn't come, because I wasn't watching anymore. It was a Saturday morning when I saw them. I was in my garage tightening a shelf bracket I'd been putting off for weeks. The sun was out. Birds were chirping, the kind of day that begged for calm. I was halfway through the job when a familiar car pulled into my driveway. Not Danielle's SUV. It was Mom's old sedan. Still running, apparently barely. She stepped out slowly, wearing the same oversized sunglasses she'd always used to hide behind. Her clothes were clean but worn. She looked smaller, not just physically, but dimmed, like someone had unplugged the version of her I used to know and left the shell. Behind her, in the passenger seat, was Danielle. She didn't get out. I stood still, wrench in hand, not moving toward them. No welcome, no tension, just still. Mom looked at me for a moment, as if unsure how to begin, but I didn't give her the chance. I turned, walked inside, and closed the garage door. No yelling, no door slam, just a quiet end to a visit that never should have happened. A few minutes later, I peeked through the front window. The car was gone. No note left behind, no knock on the door, no sudden change of heart or overdue apology. And again, no text, because I blocked her. She knew that. She just thought showing up in person would reset everything, that a physical appearance could overwrite the weight of silence and exclusion. But it didn't. That night, I sat on my porch again, a cold drink in hand, staring at the sky. I thought about all the times I'd rushed to their side, how many sacrifices I'd made. And I realized, walking away wasn't spite, it was survival. I'd finally saved myself. They made the choices. I lived through the aftermath. Now they would, too. A month passed, then another. The silence didn't bother me, in fact, I started to crave it. The clean break, the absence of chaos. My days became quieter, my sleep deeper, the anxious checking of my phone gone, the guilt gnawing at my gut every time a bill came through for their house gone. I'd returned to a life that was mine, not built around crisis management, not measured in utility payments or repair runs, just mine. Then one morning, I opened my mailbox and found an envelope, no return address. My name written in shaky handwriting I recognized instantly. Inside was a blank card, the kind you grab last minute when you forget someone's birthday. Folded inside was a note on lined paper, just 5 lines scribbled quickly. "We didn't think you'd care that much. Danielle said you'd be fine. Things are bad, house is falling apart. Power was shut off for 3 days. I'm scared. Can you help us? Just for a little while, please." I sat with it a long time, not angry, not sad, just hollow, because I realized something in that moment: they hadn't learned anything. Not really. The note wasn't an apology, it was a distress signal. Not "we were wrong," not "we're sorry for excluding you," just panic, just discomfort, just a need for the same person they had deliberately cut out of their future. I folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope, not shredded, not burned, just dropped it in a drawer I rarely opened behind old receipts and expired coupons. Later that evening, I brewed tea, pulled on a sweater, and sat on the balcony of the apartment I bought without a single cent from them. The sun dipped below the buildings, casting everything in gold. I felt calm because I didn't reply. I wouldn't. I said all I needed to when I stopped paying their bills, when I answered Mom's last message with one word, when I blocked the number and closed the door. Sometimes walking away isn't spite, it's survival, and I'd finally saved myself. They made the choices, and I lived through the aftermath. Now they would, too. If you enjoyed the story, make sure to like, drop a comment to let me know what you think, and subscribe to the channel. I post new stories every single day, don't miss the next one.